Hey Warriors, and welcome back. It's week 2 of the Warriors United program. We had so much fun at the Vision Board workshop with Steve Gammon last week, didn't we? I truly love providing you with the encouragement and then the sacred space to focus on what you want for 2018. Because what you want, and more importantly, who you want to become in the process, matters. And this webinar is so timely. You know, I've seen it in myself and in others. We put our dreams down on this vision board, and then we start to question ourselves. This little voice starts to come forward and tells us that we're dreaming too big, and that's where that self-sabotage begins. Grace is ready to give you strategies to quiet the critic so that you can practice some of the greatest expressions of self-love and self-care. I listened to this call and I felt my heart swell. You know, like in The Grinch when his heart grows like 2 sizes bigger? That's how I felt. I felt just this swelling. And I cried. And it was one of those good cries. This webinar moved me. And I looked at my new vision board and I realized that I have more strength and courage than I give myself credit for. So I hope you have the same kind of breakthrough. And I'm going to ask you, like I always do, to do yourself a huge service and favor by closing down your social media, putting your cell phone in another room, or if you're using it to watch this call, please don't go on Facebook or Instagram. Focus on Grace's message. Truly, multitasking and learning, they just don't happen. You know, you have to focus on what's being said. So absorb the information and feel it deeply. Give yourself that gift. Honor yourself and your business for the next 30 minutes. And your first code word, here it is, there are 3, is champion. Grace, take it away.
Hello, Athena's Home Novelties. This is Grace Howe, and I'm excited to be able to share with you the Bounce Forward game plan. And we're going to be talking about how to bounce forward and what that can look like in your business and in your life. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Our focus for today's call is going to be how to learn how to elevate self-esteem and self-confidence, because when you have high self-esteem and high self-confidence, you are less likely to self-sabotage or to get in your own way. You're also going to learn how to discover how to some self-talk strategies that create momentum in your business and in your life. And you'll also have access to a bounce forward tool that I created for you to be able to utilize at your convenience. So again, access a bounce forward tool for a daily focus. So self-esteem, how do we elevate our self-esteem intentionally? And what are some things to be aware of with regards to self-esteem? So there's what creates low self-esteem, which is what I'm going to share with you now. And these are a few things that create low self-esteem: harsh criticism, not being noticed or recognized, long-term ridicule or teasing, and unfair expectations of perfection from you. So self-esteem is unconditional. These are things that you're criticizing self. You're feeling like you're not being noticed or recognized. You've experienced some long-term ridicule or teasing by others, and on occasion there's this expectation of perfection from you or even from someone else. So again, when self-esteem is elevated, which we're going to talk about now and how to elevate self-esteem, you're less likely to settle for less. You're less likely to stop when you've started something. So you're more likely to follow through and see your vision to become a reality. So how can you elevate self-esteem? One is to become comfortable with yourself. Accept the flaws and focus on what's good about you. So thinking about what are some of the things that are really good about you? What are some of your natural strengths? What is unique and special about you? This is important to reflect upon. Another is to stop comparing yourself to others. So stay in your lane. It's not about what someone else is doing or not doing, but really noticing what you're good at and where you're at in your journey. and giving yourself some grace. So stop comparing yourself to others and find things that are good about you. Cultivate love and forgiveness in your life and with others. And this sometimes is the most challenging, to love, cultivating love and to forgive others and to forgive people for something they may have done, intentionally or inadvertently. Again, this will impact your self-esteem. Think about it. When we are carrying a burden or we're not forgiving someone, it's likely we're the ones thinking about it. The person that did something or hurt us in some way, they've moved on. So give yourself the opportunity to do the same. Another way to elevate your self-esteem is to be mindful of your self-talk and your self-coaching. And I'm going to teach you a few ways to be able to address that and also provide for you a tool so that you can impact your self-talk and self-coaching. Now, let's talk a little bit about self-confidence. Self-confidence is conditional. So self-confidence, and I'm going to share with you how that comes about. What creates low self-confidence is that you don't acknowledge your success. You just kind of think, oh, well, that's all right, versus celebrating it. So what creates low self-confidence, again, is you don't acknowledge your success. You put your achievement down by saying something like, oh, I was just lucky, or it wasn't that great. It just kind of happened. I won this versus I earned this. You condemn your faults and you are a perfectionist. So it's got to be just so, or it needs to be perfect, or I'm not doing it. Or I've got to prepare and get ready. Everything in my kit has to be perfect before I'll go and talk to anyone about the business. Or I need to know every single thing there is to know about Athena's before I'll even share a product with someone. That prompts low self-confidence, and it also prompts this perfectionism. And so how do you build and elevate self-confidence? One is to break tasks into smaller steps. So incremental steps along the way versus I am going to do everything today. A month's worth of work in one day. Oh my gosh, we feel like if we can't do a month's worth of work, well then we may not be very good. And when in reality, giving ourselves an opportunity to break tasks into smaller bite-sized increments gives you an opportunity to have some victories, to have some successes that will, again, success prompts more success. So that will elevate your self-confidence. Acknowledge the success after each step and celebrate. So it's not just, okay, got it done next. Oh, okay, got it done next. But in reality, it's, wow, look at the progress that I'm making. Look at what I have completed. I'm so excited about what I have accomplished today. So acknowledge your success. This, again, has an impact on your bounce forward ability. Another is to even be able to ask yourself, what do you do well? So what do I do well? What am I great at? What are some of my strengths? Because when you're asking yourself these questions and coming up with your answers, you are likely to ask others these same questions, which will in turn support them to build their self-confidence. And confidence is attractive. I was actually doing some research on confidence and a dating site came up. And I wasn't interested in any dates because I have enough dates. I have, with my, I always tell people I have 7 children and 1 husband. And so I've got a lot of dates with my husband, obviously. And I wasn't interested in the dating side aspect of the content. I was interested in the research. And in the research, what they said is confidence is the most attractive attribute, whether you're a man or a woman. People naturally gravitate towards you. And so, wow, whether that be in a business interaction, whether that be in a personal interaction, confidence is attractive. So supporting others to be able to build their confidence by you practicing this on yourself, by asking yourself, what do I do well? What are my gifts and talents? What are some of my strengths? And then being able in turn to ask others those questions to support them in considering the answers to those questions. It will it will help them to build their self-confidence. Another question here is, who can give you praise for doing something well? So this, again, self-confidence is conditional. So this is someone else saying, "Wow, well done. Congratulations. You are a champion. You were victorious in this. You are really good at this business. I mean, I am proud of you for taking a leap and being an entrepreneur." So who we surround ourselves with matters. And so who can give you that praise for doing something well? Who champions your vision? Who is a believer in you? And how can you be around more people that are like that? Okay? So self-talk. Self-talk is what you say to yourself about yourself. These are the comments that you make. So if you say, "Oh, I'm not very good at that," the more you ingrain that thought, the more you believe it. So repetition is everything. So if your self-talk is negative, or it is a critic communication, I encourage you to transition that into a champion's voice. So what would my champion say about this situation? If the critic, and I think we talked about it on the last webinar, the critic wants you to stay where you're at. The critic wants you to be status quo, to settle for less. Whereas the champion expects you to succeed. It wants you to rise to the occasion. It wants you to elevate in your business and in your life. So being able to identify your self-talk, and if it's your critic talking, find a way to reframe that thought, and then repeat that new thought. So I'll give you an example. "I don't know if I'll be any good at this." That is a critic self-talk. A champion self-talk that I encourage you to repeat is, "I am equipped to do this business. I am learning skills that will support me to be successful with Athena's. I have a lot of knowledge and past experiences that I can bring to this business. I am good. I can do this." So that self-talk will have an impact, because if you have positive self-talk, you're likely to talk positively to others. And again, that goes back to your attractiveness. That goes back to people saying, "Gosh, I want to be around that person. I want to have a conversation with that person. That person is someone that I can do business with, or I could do life with and be a part of this business." So again, be mindful of your self-talk and aware of how it is impacting and influencing you, and how it is impacting and influencing others. So self-coaching, I'm going to share with you a few strategies on how to implement that. Before I do that, though, I'm going to share with you the word for this webinar that our friend Jen is going to be looking for, and so that she knows that you have invested the time to tune into this webinar and, again, earn your keys to success with your participation. So the code word for this webinar is before. BEFORE, before. And I wanted to be able to share that message with you. Again, write down the word before. That's your code word for this particular webinar. I'm also, in the meantime, going to encourage you to participate in the upcoming booking blitz that's taking place on the 6th. So you may want to write that down. When you're participating, and it's a collective activity, progress is made. It's almost like Athena's as a whole is rowing in the same direction. You are creating momentum. So I encourage you to participate in the booking blitz on the 6th and see how that can impact your todays in your business and your tomorrows. So let's transition back into our webinar, which is self-coaching, and that's our focus. So how do you self-coach? Self-coaching is around asking yourself questions that uplift your thoughts. So a self-coaching question could be, what am I looking forward to today? What do I enjoy about what I've learned so far on this webinar? What will I be implementing? How will this serve me and people on my team? So self-coaching is asking yourself who, what, when, where, and how questions. And it is without why or judgment. Self-coaching is you're constantly available to yourself everywhere you go. You have yourself on speed dial, which is a great thing. We can't always reach someone that could walk us through a situation or a circumstance. So being able to ask ourselves a better question in order to get a better answer, an outcome, or have a solution-oriented approach to any circumstance gives us that bounce forward ability. So this is a key strategy, and we're going to talk more as we go through the webinar series around self-coaching. The key, though, is to ask yourself, be intentional with your questions. So when you're asking yourself a question, ask with a question that will support you to come up with a solution-oriented answer. And a negating question would be, or a critic question would be, why are you so tired? Why didn't you get that done? Why aren't you further along? Those questions will not serve you. Questions that will serve you would be, well, what progress am I making? What have I accomplished? What am I looking forward to for today? How will I maximize my moments this afternoon? So self-coaching, those uplifting questions that give you uplifted thoughts. I love this quote. It's you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You must do the thing you think you cannot. And so how can you all stretch yourself today to face your fears and go forward, to do it anyways, and believe that you can versus believe that you cannot? So I encourage you to take courage, to gain your strength. And how do you gain your strength and confidence in anything? You do it repetitively. So example, picking up the phone and making a phone call. At first, it feels scary. It can feel scary. For me, it was mortifying. I was terrified of picking up the phone. Doing a call like this was like the furthest thing from what I would want to do. And how I built my courage and gained my strength and confidence with it is by making those phone calls over and over and over again. And that other people don't know what I was going to say or what I was not going to say. The whole key is that I'm calling because I'm interested in the other person. I'm calling because I want to add value to the other person. I'm calling because I want to contribute to their well-being. And the more you can give, I promise you, the more you receive in return. The more you can give without expectation, the more you can receive in return. And so we will talk more about how to even place a phone call with posture, confidence, and I'm going to give you a system that you can implement to communicate with impact. The key, though, again, as I'm sharing here, is to gain your strength, your courage, your confidence, is to repeat an activity. So whether it be to participate in the booking blitz, and not just the booking blitz for the day, the booking blitz going forward, to stretch yourself. Because at first it's uncomfortable to stretch, but once you've accomplished that, it's like, oh, okay, well then that's my new normal. That's my new comfortable. I've expanded my courageous zone. So I just wanted to be able to share that with you. So I have a game plan to bounce forward. My husband's a football coach, so we're all about football, and I thought this would be timely because we're just about to head into our Super Bowl. Yes, I am curious who you all are going for. I'm sure all of you Northeasterners, I can guarantee where you're going, where you're leaning towards, but we're coming up with a game plan to bounce forward. And so I'm going to be providing for you a daily focus tool that will accompany this video. And you'll be able to download it and then utilize it to have this daily focus. Now, you may decide, okay, well, I'm going to do this daily, or I'm going to do this weekly, monthly, annually. You decide. But I found that the distinction between those that have mediocre businesses and those that have highly successful businesses is focus. And I'm going to share with you 5 key areas that you can be focused on each day to create momentum and progress in your business. So I'm going to be explaining the tool right now. You're going to have it to be able to print it off, but there's a 5-step process here. The first, which is going to be in the center of your tool, is vision. This is number 1. So your vision, what is your vision? What are you working towards? What is your goal? So this is going to be in the center of this circle. You're going to write it down. So what is it? Now, you may put down something initially that's more of a material goal. Maybe it's being able to take your family on a vacation, or maybe it is to be able to pay a bill completely and pay it off. Maybe it's, who knows, whatever it may be. If it's anything that is monetary or involves money of some sort, I encourage you to write it down. And then below it, I encourage you to write down the reason that that is a priority. What makes that significant and meaningful? How will that feel to accomplish that or to achieve it? So this is at the center of your tool, and this is going to be something that you're going to want to keep at the forefront in front of you, because again, it is when you have your vision in front of you, it accelerates the achievement of that vision. And I've noticed that in the people that I work with on a consistent basis. They're like, Grace, I'm more than double from last year. I am more than double. So I'm 6 months into my year, and I've doubled what I accomplished last year, the entire year. I believe it's because they have focus and they are very clear on where they're going and their vision. The second circle for our activity and our tool on focus is a word. So a focus word is a word that ignites and excites you. It's a word that you feel like, oh my gosh, that activates you. You feel like, oh, this is my word for the day. And so an example of a word for the day could be purpose. Example of a word for the day could be intentional, systems. It could be progress. It could be connecting, whatever your word is for the day. So it's, again, another focal point so that when you hear it or say that, you will find yourself even saying that word. Well, example, thoughtful. So if my word for the day is thoughtful, when I call someone, I thought of you today. You're the first person that came to my mind. Or I thought of you today, and how I'm curious how you've been. I wanted to call and catch up with you and then share a little bit about what I'm up to. So again, having a word for the day. Third circle, and again, I'm sharing with you these images because this is what it's going to look like on your page. This is the third circle, and this is an elevated question. And I talked briefly about it earlier in the self-coaching section. But one elevated question that will get you thinking and get you excited about what you're doing with your Athena's business and excited about life. So an elevated question could be, who loves me and who do I love? Elevated question could be, what am I most excited about for today? An elevated question could be, whose life could I make a difference for today? So being mindful of an elevated question so that you can ask yourself that throughout the day and give yourself an opportunity to come up with all the different possible ideas associated with that question. Okay, because what I love most about elevated questions is that they prompt and project our thoughts. And often what is happening in our inner world and our inner dialogue will be communicated in our outer world and our outer dialogue. I love this African proverb. It says, when there is no enemy within, the enemies outside cannot harm you. When there is no enemy within, the enemies outside cannot harm you. So be your ally. And one way to be your ally is to ask yourself a better question. an elevated question. And number 4 is affirmation, to affirm. So to make firm who you are. This was a thought around the affirmation on your page. That be amazing won't necessarily be on there because you're going to put any affirmation you want. You're going to have space. This is an example. Be amazing. Be. It's not do amazing unless you want to do it. Being amazing. Be amazing. Do amazing. Another affirmation that I absolutely love is by a gentleman by the name of Emile Coué. And this affirmation has had and continues to have a profound impact on my life and on those that I teach it to. Emile Coué said this to many people, and he taught them how to implement this in their life. He said, every day, in every way, I get better and better. Every day, in every way, I get better and better. And it had such a profound impact on how people thought, how they felt, how they acted, and their outcomes. So to be able to make firm, to affirm this over your life, at whatever statement it is that you would like to, and affirmations are everywhere, quotes are everywhere. What you're doing is you're being intentional about what thoughts you want to make firm. And affirmations help prompt a positive thought. And so I'm going to give you something to ponder here. Your thoughts impact how you feel. So if you have an elevated thought, it will give you a good feeling. A good feeling will be associated with it, which will then prompt a positive action, a progressive action, a forward-moving action that will then give you the best possible outcomes and results. So to make firm an affirmation, something that you're going to say to yourself about yourself. Again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, which is your self-talk. And then the 5th point I wanted to share with you today, and that's going to be on your tool, is action. See, we can think all day, but the real power behind our progress and our bounce forward ability is the aligning our thoughts and our actions. So thinking through things and being intentional about our thoughts, then actually taking action, applying it, being active. And so some of the best actions that you can take in this particular profession is with people. So taking action and introducing people to the products, introducing people to the business, and encouraging people and asking them who do they know that could benefit from the education and services that you all offer with Athena's, and the products and the experience and all of that. You know, who needs what we have to offer at Athena's? So action there's action that are what we call income producing activities. So income producing activities, so the IPAs, those are the actions that are going to again give you the kind of results that you're looking for. So being able to write in your daily focus of the actions that you're committed to taking, that you're dedicated to implementing for that day, and you'll be able to see the evidence of your focus. And that's what I'm looking forward to, is for you to be able to come back to us and share the evidence of you using this tool and how it impacted your day and your ultimate outcomes. So I would love to hear, Jennifer, me, the entire Athena's family, would love to hear your insights, your ahas, those things that really activated you. We'd love to hear how you're using the tool and how it's adding value to you in your life. So thank you so much for allowing me to share today on this webinar so that you can indeed, my friends, bounce forward and have a bounce forward game plan that impacts your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and a structure to be able to have a direct influence on yourself and on others. So thank you again, and I look forward to being with all of you. We're going to be talking, our next webinar is going to come out on February 7th, and it's going to be all around the build it big booking mindset. So how to book and engage for people to host and to participate. So tune in for that. Again, a reminder, remember to communicate our word, which was towards the middle of this webinar, to be able to communicate that word, and then also to tune in and participate on the booking blitz that's happening on the 6th. All right, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye.
I loved this webinar. It's one of my favorite warrior calls of all time. Grace is 100% here to support you on your journey. And the idea of allowing your champion to come forward to contribute to your well-being, it inspired me so much. I want your champion to come forward right now. Go to the WOW page and find the thread that says champion on it. And I want you to create a video in which you allow your champion to come forward and give yourself a compliment in that video. And if you're a team leader, I challenge you to go to the WAR page and do the same. Post your video by midnight on Friday, and I'll pick a winner to receive 8 free spa products, 1 for WOW and 1 for WAR. So I want to remind you that the Blitz is next Tuesday, February 6th, and you're going to want to participate in this one. I mean, I don't need to see anything more than you'll build your business and you could win a key to the $20,000 treasure box. Become a focused champion this year. Blitzing fills your calendar. Blitzing builds your team. And I believe in you. The directions to submit your code words for this webinar can be found in the email that contain the link to this webinar and can also be found on the WOW and WAR pages. You are a smart and savvy entrepreneur. I know you can find the directions and follow them. So your final code word is critic. C-R-I-T-I-C. Your final code word is critic. Grace will be back on February 7th. Be there. It's going to be another impactful webinar. It's going to be one of those webinars that will help you grow your business. So thank you for watching and listening, Warriors of Athena's. Goddess blessings to you all.